Okay. This is right now. It's the first week. Actually, today is the first day of July in the Gregorian calendar in 2017, and I have been basically on a experience of fasting for um, prolonged fasting since April the 6th. When I say that, I mean I've been eating one meal a day from April the 6th until today. And sometimes during the week, a couple of days, I'll eat nothing and I'll just have water. Once or twice a week, I'll have water and fast, for 48 hours in addition to the one meal a day. And I've learned a lot as I have gone in this 3 months. I've learned a lot. I've learned a tremendous amount in the spiritual realm over this time. One of the things I learned is that I don't need to eat as much food as I thought, and that I have been trained, and many of us, I think, will understand what I'm going to say. I have been trained and taught by society that I need to eat 3 times a day, and I have found over this 3 months that that is absolutely not true. And as I look in the scriptures, I find also, of course, we talked about Moses and Elijah and Messiah himself. And there's other scriptures that talk about the power of appetite and in fasting. Matter of fact, one of the scriptures that really inspired me is in Ecclesiastes. Actually, it's in Ecclesiastes, and I believe it's in Ecclesiastes chapter 10. Ecclesiastes chapter 10. And yes, it's Ecclesiastes chapter 10. And Ecclesiastes is actually the words of the preacher, which are the same words of Proverbs, which are from Solomon, the king, Yasharal's king. And so it's a lot of teaching, a lot of teachings and wisdom in the teachings of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. And this is no different. So I'm looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 10, and I'm reading from verse 16, and I'm reading down to verse 17 of Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 16 and verse 17. Notice what it says here. Woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child, and thy princes eat in the morning. Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the son of nobles, and thy princes eat in due season, for strength and not for drunkenness. I was really, I've been reading this a long time, but until I started fasting recently, I never really focused on it the way I'm doing now. And it's of course telling us that when the leaders of our land act as children, there's a woe upon us, the curse is upon us when our leaders are acting like children. And also that when princes eat in the morning. So it's also talking about eating in the morning as if it's something negative. So then I looked, and then I started looking up these words in the original Hebrew, and it says, "Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the son of nobles, and thy princes eat." And the word is due season. And when I looked up the word season in Hebrew, it's a word that means eventide or afternoon. Eventide or afternoon. And I want you to notice too that it talks about eating for strength and not for drunkenness. And it's talking about, and it's comparing that to eating in the morning. So it's not even really talking about what the person is eating, but about what time and how much. So it's talking about eating in the evening or in noontide and not in the morning. And I found that interesting. And as I started getting into this fasting, I started understanding. So, for example, I understand, and most people understand, that a human being can live at least for several weeks. We could leave it, let's say, at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks without food. An individual can live 2 or 3 weeks without food. Even scientists will agree with that. Uh, Even people that trust in science will understand that. That you can live at least a couple of weeks, more, maybe more, without food, without eating any food. But you can only live, most people will agree, for about a week to 10 days with no water. You can only live about a week to 10 days with no water. So water becomes more important than food because you can live longer without food than you can without water. And then, of course, you can only live for no more than a few minutes without air. If you had no air, you can live no more than a few minutes at most, maybe 5, maybe, but no more than a few minutes without air. So that you need air first, and you need water second, and you need food third. So food is really the last thing. Yeah, food is the last thing. It is not the first thing. But really, the way we've been taught in society, food is first, isn't it? We'll put up with bad air, polluted air. We'll put up with no water because after all, we can drink Coca-Cola, I guess, right? But we need food first, and so food becomes the first thing. But as I started undergoing this fasting experience, I began to understand that no, food is the third thing. Now, that is not saying, let me make very clear, I'm not saying that food is evil. Not at all. The Most High gave us a mouth to do, among other things, to eat. He gave us a tongue to not only talk, but to taste. And He made us to enjoy food. So food is not only just for basic survival, but it should be an enjoyable experience. But too much of that joy, as many of us know for ourselves, can be detrimental to our health, right? Too much of that joy can be detrimental to our health. So that we can actually live longer and perform more than we understand we can without food. So I started, as I said, it was April 6th. I started, and before that, on March the 17th, I started what they call intermittent fasting. I would eat my first meal at 12 o'clock and my last meal by 6 o'clock. I did that for about a week, maybe 2 weeks. And then I started shortening the window till I got to one meal on April 6th. So I started eating it. And when I first started doing it, at 11 o'clock, man, I'd be looking at my watch, looking at my phone time, and counting the time until 12. And at 12 on the dot, I'd be eating my food. And it was like, I was like dying to eat. And then I thought about that, and I thought how silly that was. Like, okay, so I wouldn't have eaten for a period of 12 hours or so, or whatever it was, or 18 hours it was, I think. And I was acting like I was gonna die if I didn't eat at 12, and it was kind of silly. Then I got used to that, and it wasn't a big deal. 12 o'clock would come, and even, and maybe at 12:10 or 12:15 or whatever, I would have my food. It wasn't that bad. Then I shortened it and made it from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Then I shortened it after a couple of days to 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And then it became just, I would eat at 5 o'clock. And then when I was finished, I was finished, right? And at first, it was difficult. I will not lie to you. It was difficult. It was like, man, I'm looking at the clock. I got 6 more hours before I eat. I got 3 more hours before I eat. I got 2. Oh man, I got an hour before I eat. And I still think like that from time to time if I have a busy day. But then I would eat, right? And then I started exercising, in a fasted state. And I started at first, when I started exercising, I started feeling lightheaded, and I thought I was going to faint. And my thought came to me, man, I need to eat, otherwise I'm going to faint. But I thought, no, that's not true. That's not true. My mind was saying you need to eat, but I knew something more, that no, I have enough fat in my system that I don't really need to eat. And so if I didn't, and I would get through it. And eventually, what I noticed is that my strength would increase when I exercised in a fasted state. My strength would increase. And I found that to be interesting. I had more energy and more strength without eating. And then I realized I really didn't need the food as much as I thought I did. So then a couple of times I decided, okay, I'm going to not eat at all. I was experimenting. So I would eat like on a Wednesday, let's say, and then I wouldn't eat at all, just have water on Thursday. Eat once on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and then have water on Thursday, and then eat once again on Friday. And on Friday, before I ate, all of a sudden I get a surge of energy. And then I really knew, I said, you know what? I like food. Food is beautiful. I love eating food, but I don't need to eat as often as I thought. And the Most High had been teaching me that a large part of the battle that we have in this life is in our mind. A large part of the battle is in our spirit. It's not physical. But we begin to think that it's physical because of how we've been taught, because of how the world teaches us. And we have to understand also, right? I mean, I think we can agree that the world is carnal, right? But we are spiritual. We are taught to be spiritual, but the world is carnal. So after a while, like I'll be on my treadmill. I have a treadmill, and prior to this, I had the treadmill now for 2 years, I think. So prior to this, the treadmill counts how many calories you burn, right? And so the most calories I would burn on the treadmill would be 400 something, like 480 something. I would go like 30 minutes, so close to 40 minutes on the treadmill, and would burn like 400 and something calories, okay? But once I started fasting and realizing that I have enough energy in my body to sustain me, I would consciously say, you ain't gonna die, so don't worry about it. You ain't gonna die. I would think about that. You're not gonna die. You don't need to eat now. You're not gonna die. And you're feeling weak, but just be strong because you got enough energy. And I would just like basically tell my stomach, shut up. You ain't gonna get any food now because you're good. You're good. Even no matter how I was feeling, right? So after a while, I was burning 500 calories with no problem. Then 700 calories. Now, the minimum I burn on the treadmill is 900 calories. Sometimes I go to 1,000 calories, and I could go even longer. I just stop myself. It's amazing. And it's because the Most High is teaching me you don't need as much as you think you need. I make sure I drink plenty of water. But even that, sometimes I don't drink enough. I try to drink at least 2 liters a day. And some days, if I'm fasting on just water, I drink 3 liters or more. But you don't need as much food as you think you need. And you have to go through, and I'm gonna tell you, it was not comfortable for about 2 or 3 weeks. It was not comfortable at all, brothers and sisters. I'm gonna tell you, I was not dying. I mean, it was not constant, but I would get hunger pains. Like in the morning when I woke up, I would get strong hunger pains. And then I realized that it wasn't that I was hungry. It was that my body was used to getting fed at that time. I would always believe in eating a big breakfast. I mean, you heard breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and you should have a big breakfast. I would always have nice big breakfast. And so my system was used to that. And I would get really hungry in the morning. But then it would go away and I wouldn't feel anything. And then at noontime, lunchtime, when it would be lunch, I would get really hungry. And then it would go away. And I would note that it would go away. Like when I was hungry, I would think, oh my God, I'm dying. This is the end of the world. I need to eat something now. But I didn't. And then I would say, well, then it would go away. And sometimes in the morning, I still feel that. And when I'm realizing what it is now, it's not that I'm hungry. It's not that I'm hungry. You see, I'm realizing that my body's burning off the last of whatever sugar I have in my system. It's burning off the sugar I have in my system. Okay, that's what happens. Your body burns off the sugar. Your body runs on sugar, is what I've learned. Your body runs on glucose. And so when it runs out of glucose, it's going to give you that hungry feeling. You're going to get that right off. But it's not that you're hungry. It's that your body's burning off the last of the sugar. You know what happens next after your body burns off the last of the sugar? It starts to burn energy from fat. And you want that, don't you? You really, I know I do. I want to burn fat. So you start burning fat. So then you'll start to feel hungry again because your body is burning fat now. Okay, burning fat. And that's a good thing. And then you won't feel anything. And I've realized the hunger really didn't last more than maybe an hour. And then it would go away. And sometimes I'll just drink some water, just sip some water, and then it will go away. And that's cool. And now, I don't need it, the food. And when I eat my one meal, I want you to know, your boy eats his one meal. I enjoy the meal that I eat, man. Oh boy, I enjoy that meal. There's no question about it. Okay, and I eat a lot. I don't eat a little bit of food. I eat a lot, but I'm burning more than I'm eating. Right, so I might eat like 2,000 calories in that one meal, but I'm burning 3,000 calories during the course of the day. So I'm burning much more than I'm eating, which is why I'm losing fat. But the process, the 2 or 3 weeks, man, I felt like I was going to die. I felt like, oh, I got to eat something. Why? I say, oh, you got to eat something. You're going to faint. You got to eat something. But no, I decided, no, I'm not eating because I know I ain't going to die. See, the key thing for me was to understand it ain't going to kill me. It ain't going to kill me. It's not going to kill me. If I don't eat for a day, it's not going to kill me. I can eat for weeks. See, because we understand the Messiah taught us, and Moses taught us, and Elijah taught us, you could go for weeks without food if you need to, right? You could go for weeks without food if you need to. So to miss a day of food, you're not going to die. And certainly to miss 23 hours or 18 hours of food, you're not going to die. You're not going to die. But your brain will be telling you, oh, I'm going to die. Oh, if I don't get something to eat right now, I'm going to faint. Oh, I'm going to need to go to the hospital. Oh, this is crazy. But what happens when you tell your body, shut up, you're not getting anything right now. I said no. Your brain is saying no to your body. Your brain is saying no to your body. You're not going to die. You're going to be all right. Stop whining. Stop whining. Exactly. Then what ends up happening now is you're controlling. The spirit is giving you power over your body. Okay? And you don't have to eat. It's powerful. It's powerful. And you can think clearly. And you're much more conscious of things. You're much more conscious of things. And I'm telling you, I'm getting so much more from the word during this time. The spirit is giving me so much more from the word. And I bring all that up because the object, be honest with you, you won't believe this, but fasting is not the subject of what I'm talking about today. It's not the subject, but I'm going to tell you. The subject, brothers and sisters, of what we're talking about today is the preparation to receive righteousness and the development of character that you and I are going to need to be overcomers in the coming trials that we're coming. See, everything that you and I deal with, everything that the Most High allows us to go through, and this is what it is. We have to understand something, okay? Whatever you're going through, whether it be medically, physically, emotionally, socially, economically, whatever you're going through, if you have surrendered yourself to the Most High Yah and you are trusting Messiah, then you must also understand that whatever you're dealing with, they know about. Not only do they know about it, they have ordained it. We don't always understand why, but we must know that, okay? So whatever you deal with, They have ordained for you to do that. You say, why me? It's because they're trying to develop you. Because you're not always going to be in this life. You're going to be in a new life. You're definitely not always going to be in this body. You're going to be in a new body. So what do you have left? What you're always going to have is your mind and your character. That's what you're always going to have. And he's trying to develop it. Yah is trying to develop that into that which is perfect in righteousness. And yes, fasting does help you with that. I am a witness. It does. Okay, it really does. But fasting is not the end all. It's not the end of the thing. It's just a method of getting what he wants us to have, what the Most High wants of us. I want to show you some things from the scriptures, of course. For 2 Corinthians chapter 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. I'm going to read 2 Corinthians chapter 4 from verse 6 to verse 18. 2 Corinthians chapter 4 from verse 6 to verse 18. Notice what it said. For Yah, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, has shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of Yahweh in the face of Yahushua Mashiach. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of Yahweh and not of us. For we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Master Yahushua, that the life also of Yahushua might be made manifest in our body. For we which live are always delivered unto death for Yahushua's sake, that the life also of Yahushua might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. So then death worketh in us, but life in you. We having the same spirit of faith, according as it is written, I believed, therefore have I spoken. We also believe, and therefore speak, knowing that he which raised up the Master Yahushua shall raise up us also by Yahushua, and shall present us with you. For all things are for your sakes, that the abundant grace might through the thanksgiving of many redound to the glory of Yahweh. For which cause we faint not. But though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. So our outward man perishes, but our inward man is renewed day by day. Yes, brothers and sisters, our body is every day getting a little closer to death. From the time we are born, as babies, we grow and grow and grow. And then we get to a point where physically we don't grow anymore. Our bodies have reached a physical maturity. And from that point, we begin to decline and decline and decline until the point where one day we stop breathing. The heart stops beating and the air of life, the breath that the Most High has put in us, gets taken from us and we die. Our outward man perishes day by day. But through the spirit of righteousness, the same spirit of righteousness that caused Moses to go 80 days without eating or drinking, the same spirit of righteousness that helped Elijah be sustained for 40 days with no food, the same spirit that caused Messiah to go in the power of it and to go 40 days with no food, the spirit that caused the children of Israel to walk 40 years through the wilderness with with just the clothes on their back and not have swollen feet or not have their clothes wear out will sustain us, even though our body is dying. It will sustain us to the point that eventually we will get a new body to go with the everlasting spirit that the Most High puts in us. That's why he says, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. Wait, brothers and sisters, if you're over 50, certainly you know what I'm about to say, you can understand it. Even if you're not, you can understand it. Can I get a witness? Does not time go by very quickly? Does not your life seem to go by really fast? Yeah, it does. And brothers and sisters, that's why he says our light affliction, which is but for a moment, because no matter what our affliction is, this life is going by really quick. But the affliction that the Most High allows us to go through works in us. That is, his spirit works in us for a exceeding and eternal weight of glory. And by his spirit, we're not going to die. Whether we miss a meal, whether we don't have some medication we need, or whatever it might be. If he wants to keep us, we're not going to die. We have to remember that and believe it. Okay? He has shown me, you miss a meal, you ain't going to die. You're going to be all right. So you get a little hungry. That's what he told the children of Israel. I let you get hungry and thirsty, that you might understand you got to keep my word, and more above what you eat, you got to keep my word. He said, I allowed you to hunger and thirst. I fed you with manna that you didn't even know, you didn't understand. That you might know that you don't live by only bread, you live by every word that I give you. The word of the Most High Yah. Brothers and sisters, the world teaches us to be carnal, doesn't it? Teaches us to focus on our flesh, doesn't it? Teaches us that if we don't have our meal, we're going to die, man. But it's not true. The first thing we need is air. And that air, without it, we say we could only live a couple of minutes. Spiritually speaking, the first thing we need is the breath of life from the Most High Yah. That breath will cause us to overcome and live. The second thing we need is water. The water of life from the Most High. The Spirit is a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life. That's what Messiah said. We need his spirit of righteousness. Then we need food. And the food is the word. The bread of life is the Messiah. And we eat of him in his righteousness and his word, and we'll live. And he'll take care of all that physical stuff. Notice the same 2 Corinthians chapter 5. The same 2 Corinthians chapter 5. We're going to read from verse 1 of chapter 5 down to verse 9. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, from verse 1 to 9. For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, that is our body, we have a building of Yahweh, a house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. For in this we groan, earnestly desiring to be clothed upon with our house which is from heaven, that is our new body. For so be, if so be that being clothed, we shall not be found naked. Not naked, because we're covered in his spirit. For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened, not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon, that mortality might be swallowed up of life. Now he that hath wrought us for the selfsame thing is Yahweh, who also hath given us the earnest of the Spirit. Therefore, we are always confident, knowing that whilst we are at home in the body, we are absent from the master, for we walk by faith, not by sight. We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with Messiah. Wherefore we labor that whether present or absent, we may be accepted of him. So, see, Sunday people and Christians, so-called, they take this and they say, you know, your spirit goes away and your body stays here and you go to be with the Lord when you die. That's garbage. When you die, his breath goes back to him and your body dies and you don't exist for a while. You just sleep. But what we're not talking about that here. What he's talking about here is while you don't have your new body, you are clothed with your old body. You don't have your new body yet. And whether you have your new body or not, you'd rather have your new body, wouldn't you? You'd rather have the new one that will never die again. You'd rather have that new body that will never get tired, that new body that can probably be able to fly, the Bible says, that new body that will live forever. You want that one. But while you don't have it, okay, while you are not in that new body, while you are not in that new body, you want that new spirit to be present with you. You want that spirit to fill you. You want his spirit to be in you so that whether you have that new body or not, you are accepted. You are accepted by the Father because of the spirit of righteousness, and you are in his Son, Messiah. You are in Messiah. Huh? You want that. And you cannot get the new body unless you have the new spirit. You see? We can't, that's the problem. We can't obtain the new body until we have the new spirit. We need the spirit because we walk by faith and not by sight. We walk by faith and not by sight. We walk by his spirit. We are spiritual. We're not carnal. We're walking by faith and not by sight. That's right. If we have Messiah walking in us, we can have. See, Moses was in his old body when he was 80 days with no food or water. And the spirit was so heavy on him that his face was glowing bright. Elijah was not, he was in his old body when he was 40 days with no food. And he was sustained by the Most High. Messiah was in his human body when he was sustained 40 days with no food. Yet all of them received glorified bodies. See, same with us. In our human body, what we need is his spirit of righteousness. And he's developing in the trial and tribulation, brothers and sisters, that we have to go through. The trial of faith that we must be put through in order for us to develop that spirit of righteousness within us, for him to be able to pour. We have to develop that patience through these trials that we can receive of his spirit, because patience, brothers and sisters, is the thing that's going to get us through. You see, brothers and sisters, you see and I see, there's so much going on planet Earth today. There's so many ugly things, so many wickedness, so much corruption going on planet Earth. It's hard for us to bear with it, but we must through this endure. He that endures to the end. And the word endure is a root for patience. He that endures to the end, the same shall be saved. It's the root for patience. Everything that you and I deal with, even from little things to big things, is the development of patience, which leads to righteousness and true holiness. That's what it's for. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy. Just like when we get corrected by our parents, when somebody spanked us or when somebody corrected us or chastised us, it wasn't nice, but it's good for us. Teaches us. And we remember it for next time we learn. Huh? That's how we learn. And the Most High uses life to spank, chastise, and teach us. Huh? He uses life. And you compare what you're dealing with in life to what his word said, and you learn. You compare what you're dealing with in life to what his word said, and you learn. And you learn to trust him, and you learn the patience. See, you can't, there is no way. There are some people that have more natural gifts of patience than others. There's no question. There's some people that are just naturally gifted with being able to wait and be patient. And some people most people are naturally hasty. But none of us have the development and level of patience that the Most High requires until he teaches us through trial and tribulation. And times when we have to wait on stuff, we have to wait, and we have to be patient. We have to wait and be patient and trust, and wait and be patient and trust. And this is where this same letter to the Corinthians, this second letter, chapter 12 comes in. Notice chapter 12 of 2 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians chapter 12. 2 Corinthians 12. I'm going to read from verse 1 down to verse 9, very familiar passage of scripture, 2 Corinthians chapter 12, from verse 1 to verse 9. It is not expedient for me, doubtless, to glory. I will come to visions and revelations in the Master. I knew a man in Messiah about 14 years ago. Whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body I cannot tell, Yahweh knoweth. Such an one caught up to the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body I cannot tell, Yahweh knoweth. How that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words which it is not lawful for a man to utter. Of such a one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in mine infirmity. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth. But now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan, to buffet, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the master thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Messiah may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Messiah's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. Praise the Most High. He wants us to trust in his favor toward us, his grace. He wants us to put our full trust in the fact that he bestows favor on us in the spirit. He wants us to put trust, and he gives us opportunities to do that when we're in situations that we can't control, and they're against us. Situations that are against us that we can't control. Situations that are against us health-wise and we can't control. Situations that are against us socially and we can't control. Situations that are against us economically and we can't control. Situations that are against us spiritually and we can't control. To trust in his grace and his favor to develop us. I want you to notice what it said after that, verses 10, 11, and 12. Notice what it says here. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Messiah's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. I am become a fool in glorying. Ye have compelled me. For I ought to have been commended of you, for in nothing am I behind the very least, the very chiefest of apostles, though I be nothing. Watch verse 12. Truly, the signs of an apostle were wrought among you in all patience, in signs and wonders and mighty deeds. Notice the first thing, patience. See, brothers and sisters, he's trying to develop patience in us. This is what I learned in fasting. It's what I learned. Patience. I might feel hungry, but be patient. Eventually, I'll eat. I'm not going to eat right now, but be patient. Eventually, I'll eat. Patience. Tell your body, your mind is telling it, shut up. Don't worry, you're not going to die. Most High got you. Be patient. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it. All right? Drink some water. See? He's developing patience with us. He's causing us to trust him. So that when any trial, and all of us have stuff we're dealing with. All of us are dealing with stuff. All of us are. I know it. I don't have to know specifically what it is, but I know you are. All of us are dealing with stuff. Patience in his spirit of righteousness and holiness. His strength and not ours. His righteousness and not ours. His glory and not ours. The other day, I was on YouTube. I was watching a video on YouTube, and it was this supposed so-called Christian. He's a world-class athlete, and he was giving his Christian testimony. And in his testimony, he was simply exalting himself, telling us how he was going to be number one in the world, and it was to the glory of the Most High that he was number one in the world. This is the difference between man-made religion and the Most High Yah, what he teaches his children of Israel. In man-made religion, you see, man must also get glory. He can't just glorify Yah. He must also get glory. In Christianity, favor means I am above everyone else. But it is not the case with the Most High Yah. With the Most High Yah, we give him glory. We seek only his glory. We seek his righteousness, and he only gets the glory. We don't care if nobody else notices, as long as we know that he knows we are seeking him in his glory alone. There's a major difference. And when we are weak, we are trusting only in his grace alone, his power, his righteousness, his word, not in ourselves. Major difference. So patience is developed. Because brothers and sisters, the time is coming very shortly when the world's going to go stark raving mad, when all this stuff is going to just break loose and things are going to be going crazy in the elements, in nature, in business, and politics. It's going to go crazy. It's just going to be let loose. The four winds that the angels are holding of Revelation chapter 7 are about to be let loose. And when they are, the earth is going to go crazy. It's going to go crazy. But we must be solidified in the spirit of the Most High and in patience. And brothers and sisters, I'm going to tell you, we're not going to get food every day. We're not going to get food every day. We'll get food. Some days we may not get food. But we have to be patient. And the Most High is now developing in us that patience that we will need. He is now doing it. We have to allow him to do it. We have to allow him to do it. To develop in us the patience that we need. Because if we don't allow him to do it, it won't happen. We have to continually be praying to him, Most High, strengthen me that I might trust you more. Humbly understanding that we don't trust him enough. Because we don't. But we are learning. We're learning, praise his name, to trust him, to develop that patience, to understand that the outward body is perishing. It's okay. That's all right, because we're going to get a new one. That the spirit that's in us can sustain us for as long as he needs to. As long as the Most High designs and designates, it can hold us. So that in the time when we can't buy or sell, if we're filled with his spirit, we can go for days, weeks with no eating if we need to. We could do that if we need to. If he ordains it. But we just have to practice now trusting him. Fasting is a good thing. I would recommend it. I would recommend it, especially the intermittent thing. You don't have to do like me and eat one meal a day. But you can, you can skip breakfast, can't you? You can say, I'm going to wait for breakfast. I'm going to eat lunch and start there. You can do that. You ain't going to die. You ain't going to die if you don't eat breakfast. You ain't going to die. You might think you are. Your brain will tell you that, but you ain't going to die. But it'll help develop patience. And it's funny. You could eat, like the other day for my meal. You know what I had for my meal at 5 o'clock? You know what I had? I had pancakes. I had pancakes for my meal, and they were delicious, man. Oh, yeah. I had pancakes for my dinner. Indeed. You could eat, I ate whatever I want for dinner. I had pancakes. Sometimes what did I have? I had pancakes. One day I had vegetarian tofu hot dogs. I had like 6 of them, 5 of them, something like that. And then I had fruit and watermelon and all that. I'm telling you, man. Telling you. So you have to worry about like the foods that you used to eat for breakfast. You can still eat them. You just don't eat them in the morning, right? You just don't eat them in the morning, right? Whatever you want to eat, but you know what I'm saying. But you better eat enough because that's what you eat. That's it. For me, that's what I'm saying. That's my food for the day. That's it. So I'm making sure I'm eating enough, you know. But yeah, you ain't gonna die. You ain't gonna die. Praise the Most High, y'all. Let's have a word of prayer.